This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Farina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible. That's Farina, right over there. She really is?
What was meant to happen did happen after all. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Give up, Farina. I'm sorry, but what can I even do? Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina, it's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler.
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you?
What do you mean, tear stains? Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were? They even dare to tout their Archon! I must teach them a lesson. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Marish Chaussee Phantom are freaking out right next to them, too.
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabid fan. That's against the rules. I can't let...
Farina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with her! This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them catch up to you.
What?
Hurry, they're almost here.
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed.
Yep, that's a good girl.
What's happening? The ground's shaking.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding impulse.
It can't be.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Nouvellette's made some emergency plans, so the evacuation...
Yeah. But the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way. And the prophets... Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. Indeed, I've thought about giving up so many times. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and no bit. But just now, it all became clear to me. As long as the final moment hasn't come, don't worry. I will keep... Well, That's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were
Share That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came, and if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you'll... if...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the...
So this is what it is. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice.
May I interpret these words as your refusal? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a...
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it.
What the heck is going on?
Wow, how utterly...
Lady Farina, what is the meaning?
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding.
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of... I will admit that I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people. You are not the only ones to be disappointed. But now, it is time I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the truth. This time, I applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastical... Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine!
Woohoo! Oh, now we're making history!
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking...
All right, then. Who will be...
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then... Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before, just how much work did you do to...
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was... Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like... So, We arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean the ones who scoured the settlement for me?
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epic, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Air was an Archon instead of a My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such. Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt with.
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's part. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duel. Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may come.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist.
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the. Oh? It's fine. It matters not. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial.
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Oh, let Paimon see. Wait. Then that means this document is a perfect timeline of So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as evidence for an argument. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the... This is the first time Monsieur Nervilette had a difference of a Fatui Harbinger. She's an extraordinary... The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a... According to Monsieur Nervilette, I nearly lost my awesome friend Navia. The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can...
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervilette. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As, of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon.
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could...
Yeah, even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to...
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super...
I I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were... See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you... If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a...
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? You have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, and if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to...
That doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't... That doesn't sound right. First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally... But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity.
You sensed it too, huh, Nervalet?
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been... Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. For centuries, manifestations of my authority... One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the endemnidium that is...
That doesn't sound right. You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice...
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are...
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is, while the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before... You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold...
I never thought you'd use that...
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of...
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of a...
The real Hydro Archon. Well, it is true that I did not know why, but the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally. And it has been... You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the
My power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens...
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to...
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the...
Indemnidium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnidium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for—
Isn't that a huge...
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called a god?
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please, I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that you loved, please.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And all of our
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro, if you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up—
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute— It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water from the
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Farina, would you dare to— If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no effect on you. All it should do— But, if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess—
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us. Would she—
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution, as it falls outside the realm of standard court.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same as a confession.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to—
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may—
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! My hand— Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm not—
Miss Siegewing? If you're present, Miss Siegewing, please come forward.
Siegewing?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater.
Thank you, Miss Siegewing. Lady Farina, you may return.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove—
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually—
I can't believe— Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me such cold and— Think about it! How can you conclusively prove that an— Also, if I was really just a human, Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's...
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Furina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Furina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the... According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Furina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: to be punished via the death sentence.
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always...
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court. And it's been given to the very person we...
Furina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she...
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been...
Yeah! Even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Indeed. Not only is Furina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also... But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the...
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume...
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me.
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. But has the trial already concluded? Then doesn't that mean I've come too late?
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates, and would like you to come here and confirm...
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost...
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Furina, and we've already... So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the...
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of the... However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone... stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her. Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But the second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But this must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontanians can be dissolved in primordial seawater. And the first stone slate tells us that long ago, the Hydro Archon used her power to turn Oceanids into humans. This might be the reason that Fontanians can dissolve. Perhaps what is about to take place has all happened before. The true sin of the Hydro Archon that Nervilette mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia as recorded on the stone slates. It's not as simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was subjected to judgment. The stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. Could that be alluding to... The prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society, but not many people believed it at first. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontanians to dissolve. If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone very...
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater. Convert... The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps... Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness, and was... The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of... Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! But then it feels like we're going to have to share some...
Let's hear them.
Incredible! Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their big... The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were... Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without... That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like when Navia fell in? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the fourth slate? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the... Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been... When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative.
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly summarize it for you. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontainians and the sin of the Hydro Archon. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to be. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars she poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontainians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine...
So we were all Oceanids, but...
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard his...
Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only...
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontainian, but...
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the third and fourth stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct. A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water, they have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the... The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate, that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now it...
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy about the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater... However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only... As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
That doesn't sound...
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the...
The truth, the original sin, the trial, and the root cause of the disaster.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the opera house? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it is chosen. That whale does not belong to Teyvat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the... And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood...
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the...
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, from the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely... Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practically... Even if the entirety of Teyvat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off toward...
That's not something I will accept. We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some...
Indeed. That's not how a grand performance...
I'll fight it to the end. No matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesized will be...
Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be... Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter...
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina!
No, I still need answers!
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is...
You are not Farina. Who are...
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive...
Fosolo. Why...
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. The heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly...
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust. She knew full well that the prophecy would surely... And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible... I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian... But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain. Her strengths were of a kind only a human. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra... In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress under the curse I placed on her. So long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, it's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely. Oh, who permitted you to come onto the stage? Now, I understand your admiration for my august self, but All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract. Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must at all. Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough.
Wings of darkness, come!
Into the wind!
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Higher, hands on fire! Quit it!
Opening box of Adepti tricks.
As one with wind and cloud!
Farina. Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you? Be not nervous. Be not afraid. Wait a moment. You're... Mirror me? How... Mirror you, huh? Mirror me? The prophecy. What prophecy? The people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain. Oh, very good. What's going on? I can't seem to remember anything. Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you. But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a Fontanian. Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world precisely to... I will tell you how to save everyone, but... Oh, so there's still hope after all. As for the suffering, well, but if the prophecy will come true, if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side, and my pain on the other... I suppose this would also be the Huh? Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost... Play as... That's right. You must begin a never-ending If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy. But how will I do this? A human... Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real... Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already know what... Remember, your true challenge will not be pursuing divinity. I'm still not sure I understand, but... So, how long am I going to have to... To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for... But I promise you... all will avenge... A trial, huh? How... The Maison Cardinalise has announced my accession, but this is my first... What should I say to most appear like a god? To be honest, I still don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. Indeed, I am, in truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god. As the god Focalor, the god of justice, I shall do all within my power. Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, please send... This should do it. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully,
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a bit more...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What?
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen. She might just...
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being... Right. Mirmi said that I just need to play the role of a... Calm down, Farina. Think. What? Assertive, with a strong sense of presence. One who can dispel all doubt. Oh! Now, I I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage. Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it. Now then, let us be
So that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera?
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this flow and restart my My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your... We have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. Well, I say that justice, the scales of justice, should not weigh heavy in the hands of its God. On one side, may law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. There is no trouble in this world that justice cannot solve. So long as I, the Archon Focalor, stand within the Opera Epiclese.
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports, as well as a summary of the follow-up for your perusal.
Come now, was I not just at the Opera House in person? Besides, none of these trials were the one...
If I may be so impertinent, what...
A magnificent, dramatic, and wondrous trial. A trial...
That's true, I fear I lack the ability to grasp...
No need for fright, and do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now, do your duty.
Lady Farina, I don't know what to say. Thank you for agreeing to see me.
No need to thank me. Or rather, thank your own sense of All right. Deoteria, is it? How is your...
You remembered me. He is doing much better now. In fact, he is far more of an ardent believer than I. He was...
Oh, good. Very good. If this should happen again in the future...
You're such a gentle and wise god. Thank...
Lady Farina, here are the latest hydrological reports. As for the specific...
I see. It's as I thought, then. As your god, I did already expect all manner of signs indicate that the prophecy will still come.
Well, as I understand it, the Fontaine Research Institute is also trying to find...
Really? Have they found anything?
I'm afraid that they haven't found any effective...
Is that so? Well, no wonder. The day is finally over. I haven't had a moment to breathe, but it's good to see that everything's getting on track. Maybe this is fine. I just need to... All right, Farina, don't think too hard about it.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial reports for the latest cases at...
They'll will be no need for that.
Lady Farina, I've waited.
Indeed, my dear loyal citizen. This...
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydrological anomalies near...
Understood. Keep monitoring. Keep me informed. I don't think I let anything slip today. I just don't know. I feel utterly exhausted.
Lady Farina, it's like a dream. I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you was...
And what a fine family yours...
Surely you exaggerate.
What is it?
Are you crying?
Uh-huh. Really? This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god.
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of...
So interminable. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. Perhaps I never imagined that have I reached my limit. I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. But I've conducted so many investigations across the century. All I can do is keep heart. I must maintain this act.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone. Although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone.
Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that...
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still just share it with me.
A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Teyvat, and if Teyvat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, she's right. I could confirm, but if things don't play out as expected... No, Farina, you But what if... Farina... You've worked so hard for so... Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? To find... If you let this opportunity slip through your fingers, think about it. Long and hard. No. I have nothing to say. I am Farina. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to witness my...
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive she did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, it seems that trusting humanity...
I believe that I understand how your deception works, but that is only half. How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine?
Ah, good, good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed... I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine, yeah?
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber. It now seems that that person was you.
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? Alas, your understanding of this device... In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact... Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the... I mean, did you think I would be the... My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium with... But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by... The vast majority has been... Had to be...
It was all a part of your plan, then? Both the...
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia, had it only been used. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again. The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how... Hydro Dragon, Hydro Dragon. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principle. Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea. And the heavenly principles, I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that you're... Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the... So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was Fontaine, then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontainians as humans and their right to exist in this world. In other words... Existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice is defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine's people shall live on. At this point, we, whether Iudex Neuvillette, the highest judge in our land.
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, at last, I now understand. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside you are a devious... Things being as they are. Surely you know that I could never declare them.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Neuvillette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Vox Nuvelet, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
When the sun's out.
What just happened?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have...
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved...
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that
Didn't you say just a moment ago that it can't be defeated?
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, we should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an execute the root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the Come with me, traveler. The hour... Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient power. I shall look for I can feel its sorrow turning into hostility.
With nature.
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. Chance will present itself.
Must remain calm. Fallen leaves, adorn my night!
I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within. Manifest the authority of the ancient dragons. Witness the might of the primordial sea.
By royal decree, sacred name, fortune preserver.
Clouds high, the birds come! Into the wind.
Higher, higher, dance like fire!
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job. It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple... Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point. But they bumped into one another.
That power.
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, it's just that he gave us the impression that she was, less...
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other... So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an all-devouring... That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk?
The point being...
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed... So what sort of person is your master? Well, child's master...
Oh, right. So you don't know him. Sorry. His name is Sertologi.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar with that.
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous.
The foul?
Still nothing? Well, how about the Visionary?
Ooh, that one we've heard! Rhine-Doctor's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all... But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely...
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary person?
Actually, never mind that. I believe it that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its... Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet. As such, the fontaine back on the surface has most... In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has...
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Farina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Hey! Help! Over here!
All hands, initiate emergency rescue! Hurry!
Hey, lend a hand!
Look! The water's receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
Are you alright?
Yeah.
We're saved.
The prophecy was wrong.